Federal Trade Commission. I just wanted to let you know that in compliance with your 2013 update entitled .com Disclosures, that the book I'm about to discuss and review was sent to me free of charge by a publisher in exchange for my honest review. So, if you're watching, I hope you enjoy. Alright, so today I want to talk about a book that seems to be getting a lot of praise from various places, and somehow I don't understand. I believe the correct pronunciation is Belzhar, given the way they say it in the book, but Belzhar by Meg Wolitzer is an interesting piece. She is the author of a book called The Interestings, which I've heard very good things about and have not yet read. So I was sort of going into this with a lot of pretty high expectations, especially since it is pretty short and it's only about, 250, 270 pages. So it's pretty short, and I expected it to be, a pretty good, piece of YA. This is, of course, based on what I heard about The Interestings, which is a far longer and I believe more adult-centric novel. Belzhar is the story of a 16-year-old girl named Jamaica, whom they call Jam throughout the entire book. And she is at a place called the Wooden Barn, which is in Vermont. It's not a real place, but I was excited to see that they set this in Vermont. So she's at the Wooden Barn, which is a school for kids who have had something tragic happen to them and just need a little bit of extra help getting themselves together and keeping focused on their studies. So she is there because a tragedy has struck when her boyfriend, Reeve, who is an English exchange student at her school in New Jersey, dies. So she is there coping with his death because she can't get over it at home and can't go back to school and just locks herself away for months, and her parents finally don't know what to do, so they pay for her to go to this school in Vermont. While she is there, she is put into a special topics in English writing class, and there are only 5 or 6 students in the class, and she is one of them, and they have been very, very carefully selected by the teacher of this course, and her roommate is very, very jealous of the fact that she's in this class because her roommate has been at the school for a very long time, and only certain kids get in, and no one really knows how the selection process works. So she and these other students are in this class, and they are all given these leather journals which they have to write in when they feel like it. It's part of their class. They are given the journals, and their teacher collects them at the end of the year and promises not to read them. However, because of this assignment, she and her classmates discover this sort of supernatural other world that they decide to name Belzhar, and they continue to go there, and it sort of helps them feel better about their problems and escape from reality and sort out their lives. I think my biggest problem with this book was that I didn't really like Jam. I didn't like the fact that her name was Jamaica or that her name was Jam, because I just kind of think that that's a silly thing to call somebody, and it didn't really give her any further sense of character. She wasn't defined by her name, and she wasn't really defined by anything except for this terrible tragedy, and we didn't really get a great insight into her feelings and her thoughts, and that might just have been part of her being a teenager and hiding that from us, but I think it was really to sort of push the plot of the story along, which you will have when you have a narrator that's sort of shaky. She tries really hard to make friends during her first days at the Wooden Barn, but her friendships are strange, and I don't think they were really played out very well. Her relationship with her roommate really confused me. I didn't feel that her friendships were fleshed out well at all. They sort of happened very quickly, and they were a little bit glossed over. As I said before, the book's name is Belzhar, and it all comes from The Belzhar by Sylvia Plath, which they read as part of their course, and they all sort of deal with this supernatural escapist place in different ways, and I don't think they dealt with it very well. I think they dealt with it as best as they could for being teenagers, but it just drove me nuts that they were so sort of pedantic about the whole thing, and they didn't know what to do, and no one could make decisions, and I totally identify with that, having been a teenager myself, but the way it was portrayed with the writing was just incredibly annoying. And I realize it sounds like I'm saying a lot of terrible things about this book, but the plot was intriguing. I think this is a very clever idea. I like the fact that it takes place in the sort of respite place in Vermont for these kids. I like that she imagined that was a place where they can go. It's probably based off a real institution of that kind. I like the idea that they all do band together and get really close as a class. I think that made for a really realistic view of how something would happen in a setting such as that. This isn't a terrible book. I had expected so much more of it, and I've been reading reviews and it's not jiving with what I experienced, so I'm just very confused about who is doing the reviewing and whether those reviews are based more off of the actual content and the writing of the book or based more off of Meg Woltzer's previous work. I only gave 3 out of 5 stars to this book, but if you want to read about jam, if you like jam, raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, or otherwise, I would definitely give this a try. If you like Sylvia Plath, I think you might find it a little bit interesting. It's, like I said before, it's pretty short. I hope you're having lovely weeks and lovely lives, and we'll see you very soon with another review.